Good morning, everybody. It's Monday morning, about 8:30, and I was up early this morning and doing a lot of busy work here. I'm going to kind of show you what we're doing to improve the garden here as an add-on. The last yesterday and the day before, we finished burning all the trash that we'd picked up in town, plus our burn pile here had not been cleaned up for quite some time. And as you can see, with all the garbage around, it all kind of goes into the burn pile here, and the broken glass. And there comes a time when you just gotta clean it up, and I try to keep the dogs away, but they insist on coming here and that. So what I do is I take out all the trash here. We'll bag that up. I don't want to put it back in here, and we'll eventually dig a garbage hole here, 6-8 feet down, and that, and throw the garbage in there, and then bury it. That's kind of what they do here. There is really no such thing as garbage pickup. So I cleaned out with a rake, I cleaned out the whole pile here, and what you can see is basically a pile of ash mixed with dirt. Oh geez, and a lot of stone and still garbage left in there and that. See if I can get over to a little bit different spot here. And we threw bananas in there, which shouldn't be thrown in there in the first place. Like I said, they're about 90% water, and they just don't burn. And of course, going into the yard there in town, they had buried a lot of garbage and bags in the yard, and I cleaned that all up, brought it back. And then what is happening here, Doro and Andoy are shoveling all this into the sifting screen that we use for sand, to get the fine sand out, and that when you want to do finishing work. And you can actually see the process here of going through. And that sifted, I'll actually take it to the garden, and we'll probably just put a layer of it on top of all my garden rows, and as it rains and soaks in, and it will add hopefully a lot of different nutrients to the soil, and that normally aren't there. And of course the dogs all come down and join us here, and because it's so heavy, and like I said, a combination of dirt and ash here, and nice and fine. Wow, that's going to be so good to add in. And I think I'll give Beth some. I would have added it into the compost, but as you saw by our compost bin, she's pretty well empty. And with the lack of rain here, my compost rows are basically just sitting. We still add the pig dung in there, and there's some decomposing. And the one benefit of the chickens going into the compost rows is that they churn all that up and add in the sifting out and that of it. That's going to be plenty heavy. I don't know if we're going to be able to lift that. Oh yeah. We might have to separate it out a little bit. Wow. And according to the pile here, I'm saying we're going to get probably about 3-4 good bags out. So like I said, we'll probably keep a bag to be able to add in. The rest I think I'm just going to kind of spread along the compost rows, spread along the garden rows. I'm afraid in the compost rows it's just going to kind of disappear into the ground, and I would rather have it in the garden rows where it's going to add to the fertility of the garden. But this is part of what I think of as organic gardening and farming, where you basically turn around, and it's a lot of busy work sometimes, as you can see here, but you use everything in one form or another. About the only thing you can't use is the garbage right there, and there's no recycling or anything here at all to be able to handle that, and that's what I consider the bare minimum waste that we dispose of. I know Beth uses a lot of the tin cans and everything else in her garden for kind of pots for growing and everything, and so we try to make use of everything as much as we possibly can. And this is a process we go through here with, and I've done this before, and that of being able to use the ash pile here, and the ash is mixed with some of the dirt here, and like I said, to be able to sift through it like this, I believe is going to be a positive benefit, and just a simple fact that we're using everything that we possibly can, and so little really goes to waste here at all. And to me, that's what the gardening's all about. That's what the composting is all about, is not letting any of the natural processes here really go to waste, but to turn them around and use them again. Even when we cut the grass, to use the green grass, and when the leaves fall, to rake up the dried leaves, mix them together, get them into compost and that, so it's reusable. It's a big old cycle of life that we try to do here and continue to do here. So I wanted to kind of bring you that today, because we don't do this very often, but when we do, and as you can see, there's piles of leaves here that Doro waked up on Saturday. It makes the lawn look really nice, but this will all be bagged up. And of course, as I turn around here, you can see the huge rice hay pile that we've got. Like I said, little by little, it's pretty well dried out, but it's more like it's all bedding now instead of feed. They won't eat it because it's so dried out, but that's okay. And down towards the bottom here, you'll see some action and decomposing in that, and that'll all be cut up and used for bedding, and then of course it winds up in the compost piles here. Just using everything we got here in the best way possible that we can, in order that so little goes to waste, and there's always going to be some that goes to waste, and anybody that's been in the Philippines realizes what a garbage problem they have here. For some reason, people still haven't learned to basically take care of their stuff, and to not deposit it not deposit the wrappers in the paper wherever they throw it. And I mean, they think absolutely nothing of it. You give a kid a candy bar, and if he's walking along, that's where the wrapper goes. They just don't think of any other way of doing it, and they've done that for so many years. And of course, I am in what should I say, strong opposition to living in garbage. This is not a brain drain at all for you to pick up whatever waste that there is. And there's no excuse. I've been brought up and was taught at a little age there's no excuse for living in garbage. And it may not be on your immediate vicinity. It may be next door, or it may be in a lot next to yours, and I just kind of go through that and clean it up. I just cannot stand, and that's probably, if you've noticed the property here, that we keep it as clean as we possibly can and do the cutting and the raking, and wow, a lot of work. But I just can't stand any type of garbage laying around, and picking up the papers and everything else that are thrown about. But you go into the towns and cities here, and even along the roadside, yeah, it's pretty incredible. And one person can't change that, but I'm hoping in some measure by people seeing what we do here that they will change, and they'll start to improve their own property and come here and look and go, wow, is this nice and clean? And through that, just pass it on to their own property and that. So I'm going to say goodbye for now. Go back to the guys here. Still working. They've got a lot of the pile there. Like I said, by the time we're done, and we're probably going to get a good 4 or 5 bags of the ash here. So if I'm in back of the camera, I'm going to say goodbye for now. Thanks for viewing. Like and subscribe. And I surely hope this day is a blessing to you, and that God in His measure will provide for you.